So today's guest is Heeyun. Hi, Heeyun.
Hi.
I'm really glad you're here. I've known you for 5 years and you've been a great help for me. When I came to Korea, I spoke 0 word Korean and you translated all the time. So thank you for that.
Oh, thank you. I mean, 5 years already. I mean, time really flies really quickly.
True.
But for me, honestly, like meeting you, vice versa, was like one of the biggest blessing for me as well. I'm learning so much from you.
Thank you. Yeah, I really admire you because you're pretty young, but still like you're a wise person, like a 50-year-old in your mind.
Oh, 50 years.
Not the looks.
Yeah, thank you.
And then you were always this balanced person, like balanced mentally and physically.
Wow.
And also you have this generous heart. So I was wondering, is that something you were born with, or is it something that you develop in yourself?
Wow, this is such a big compliment. A high compliment, but thank you so much. But honestly, I'm not just saying because you gave me a compliment, but honestly, I truly believe that you're like one of like this great woman who's so balanced.
Oh, thank you.
Has this amazing, generous heart as well.
So everybody, you will hear a talk with 2 balanced people. Yay.
Balanced people. And I mean, was I born with it? Definitely not. But I think I really am a person who loves growth. And so I kind of really grew a lot personally. And I really like to have that balanced life. And still, I think sometimes I lack those balance time to time. So I really strive hard to really maintain that balance and grow in all that different aspect of my life, not only like just one specific thing. So I really try hard, but I'm really glad that she recognized it. I'm really glad.
That's also what your story is about today. So before we started recording, we talked, and then you said like you really believe that your 8-year-old self knows you better. And so I'm really curious of that insight and how you came up with this idea.
Yeah. So I think just to say that I need to kind of introduce myself a little bit to the viewers. And like, obviously she told you guys, but my name is Haley, or you could call me Heeyun Lee as well. And I was born and raised in Bangladesh, and Dhaka specifically. And I came to Korea to study for the university. And I majored in like visual design, which is like typography design and like graphic design combined. And I am currently working as a producer and designer and also a presenter in education IT company working with elementary school students. So I think for me, kids and children is my passion. So that's why I'm also interested in kids in general. And I'm also interested about looking back at my childhood to really figure out who I am as a person. So when it comes to making a life decision, and I'm really grateful till this point of my life, you make a lot of decisions. We have to make a lot of decisions. But I think till this point, I really made a right decision for myself. And looking back at my childhood, not only 8-year-old self, but I mean just overall childhood helped me immensely to make a right decision for me. Yeah, I can really see that you're a presenter. You're doing this better than I do. I know.
Learning from you.
I know.
We just started this podcast. You're the second guest.
You're good.
I'm observing and learning.
Thank you.
Yeah, what do you mean? I can really understand and relate to it. So I also do a lot of digging into my past to understand who I am today. So I'm really curious, like you grew up in Bangladesh. How were you as an 8-year-old?
Yeah, when I was a child, I think overall, because I was born and raised in Bangladesh, and the Dhaka that I was born and raised from was once ranked the most least livable city in the world. Maybe around 8, it was like in 2018. Like,
do you know the reason why? Is it like criminality or like infrastructure?
Yeah, I think it was due to like its poor infrastructure, like and the air condition, and about like the education stuff. And definitely for me, because I was born in 1996, so it was more kind of harder when I was born as well. So for me, but because I think I was born there, everything that was laid out for me was kind of normal. But so somehow like that poor infrastructure or that air pollution, etc., was somehow really adaptable because that was normal for me. But I think the biggest crisis, our whole family, and especially for me, what I had to face was like boredom. Boredom. It was like a biggest issue because there were no media to see, and we didn't even have a television, and there were no places to go. And we did have a friend, but there weren't many like the social gathering as well. So it was literally our family in my house. So we had to kind of figure out how to like have fun with like that limited space, limited resources. So yeah, I think that was the biggest crisis. Yeah,
I see. So even your parents were pretty busy, right? Like they were running an NGO, so they didn't have much time to play with you.
Exactly. So my dad was a director in one of the NGO, and that was the whole reason our family went there. And yeah, my dad was pretty busy, but still every night he really kind of put aside his time to really play with us. But my mom was also a passionate woman as well, so she was doing her stuff, and so it was most of the time it was basically me. My brother, my sister, and me, because I'm the youngest. So my sibling and I had to really, know how to just spend that, like utilize that time well.
How did you feel back then? Did you feel resentment about your situation? Were you angry or like comparing yourself to other kids? I mean, back then there was probably you didn't have internet or TV, so you weren't like, oh, those like rich kids in the US, I wish I was born there. Or like, how did you feel as a child about your situation?
Wow, I think that's a good thing about not having internet because there's no comparison. So I think, I did not think that I was in a very unique situation. Sometimes my mom would say, oh, I'm so sorry that I brought you to Bangladesh. But for me, I had no comparison. Bangladesh was my hometown, so it was quite normal. But still, it was time to time, it was hard to adopt to that kind of circumstances. But I think our whole family really try to be just grateful for the condition or circumstances we have or we're given. So yeah.
So how did you try to overcome this boredom? I think you came up with very creative ways.
Yeah, so I think we kind of came up with different kind of plays. So on a rainy day, we would take a soap out of our bathroom.
So we is like you and your
me and my siblings. Yes,
it's like
exactly.
3 people.
Yes,
right?
3 people, and sometime our nanny.
I see.
Because like my dad and my mom was quite busy, so we kind of had a nanny, and.
So you took out, like it was a rainy day, you take out the soap?
Yes, we took out like the soap out of the bathroom and we would go out to the balcony and like our balcony was kind of open so the water would drip in. So we would play like the soap soccer.
Well, was it a big balcony? Could you like run around?
It was like a long balcony. So it was like a good place to play soccer.
So you had 2 goals?
Yes, exactly. So... and this water would drip in, so like the more you play, the floor were getting like really slippery and like bubbles were here and there. And
just to make sure the soap was the bowl, right?
Thank you. The soap was a bowl. The soap was a bowl, so we would have to like you know, it was a normal soccer game, but the ball was a soap. So it was like really fun, and like it was really interesting to see my brother and my sister like running or like walking, they were trying so hard not to fall. So that itself was really like entertaining.
And then bubbles everywhere.
Yeah, bubbles everywhere.
That sounds really romantic, actually.
I know, it does. So I think like that we would like create our own play and just use that, like, you know, very like what you say, like very easily. We use that, like we use things in our household that is easily that you can find in our house.
Nice.
Yeah.
But now it makes sense, because I remember we played soccer together, like against each other, and then you were like running and then also like pushing people away and then navigating the ball towards the goal. So now it all makes sense because you started at a very young age.
I was trained
with a soap.
Yeah.
Wow. Amazing.
I was trained in a very different way, but yeah. And also, like, because my dad is a NGO director, we would have like this during summer or during winter time, we would have this team that came, like this university students that came for the volunteer work. And my dad would ask me and my siblings to do some kind of show at their last night of Bangladesh. So we would create the stories and like make puppets or make any things that were needed for the show. And I really, really loved, you know, making like puppets or making things for the show. And especially I loved like emceeing and acting out in front of people. And like when our family and them, they burst into laughter, I would feel like so satisfied. And I think that was my uniqueness. I think from that I kind of figure out that I really like creating something and presenting it to other, and also me acting out also was one of the uniqueness I had as a kid. Yeah.
What I hear from your story is that you were very restricted with your resources, but then you got really creative. So that poverty or that environment where you didn't have access to media or other toys just helped you to become a creative person, which is amazing.
Yeah, true. I think if I were given all this well-made games or like videos that I can watch, I think I would not be who I am today. And I think those experiences really helped me to be really creative, think outside the box. And also looking back now, during those times, it was like not that easy, and I did not think that would be something I would be grateful about. But thinking about it now, I'm really grateful that I had limited resources, like to zero. like there are so many like different games and toys that is so well thought of, and that is so entertaining, that is so fun, that you can buy in the store here in Korea or anywhere in the world now. Also in Bangladesh, now there's like so much toys and so much games that you can buy in the shop easily. But I think because I had this lack of resources, I was able to really like be creative, think outside the box. And anytime when there's like this problem occurs, I don't complain, but I think of what kind of solution I can come up to really solve this problem. So I think all this, what I think is like great, like the strengths I have in me were honestly like developed through that kind of circumstances. So I'm really grateful that I kind of had that childhood.
Yeah, what you're saying, like being grateful for what we have, I think that's so important for us to be happy. And as I see, like in this circumstance, you could like look at it as a curse, or you could look at it as a blessing.
Exactly.
And it's completely depending on your perspective. So maybe as like, for example, in my case, I also grew up in a poor environment, and back then I complained a lot about it, and I wasn't happy because I was like, oh, what if I was born in a rich family? But now I feel that it's really a blessing because that taught me to fight for things and to not give up. And if you just grow up somewhere where everything is given, then you don't have this like drive. So I think we share a similar perspective of being grateful for what you have and see it as an opportunity and not as like
a curse,
weakness or a curse.
True.
Yeah.
I am a firm believer of that because I see a lot of people complaining about what they don't have. But honestly, I think because due to my background, I think that lack of something that you think that's lacking in your life is what makes you stronger. It's like a great opportunity for you to really develop through that lacking or through that scarcity of anything. I think everybody has to have a different environment, but I feel like if you only complain, you miss such a precious opportunity to really grow from there. So I think to my friends and till this point of my life, I really also try to remind myself that when I start complaining, I think, Heeyun, if you start complaining, you're missing this great opportunity to learn. So,
Yeah. That's why I told at the beginning, I think you're a wise person and I really love your convictions. Like, yeah,
my conviction. I believe that. I mean, you're making me blush. But thank you.
Yeah, your story reminds me of my childhood, like when I was like 8 years old, and so we lived in this house without electricity, as I mentioned. Like
me too.
I didn't have electricity
because Bangladesh, the whole house, like they turn off the electricity for like 8 hours or 10 hours.
I see. Wow, we didn't have at all. So it was like there was nothing.
Not at all.
No. So we were using candles, or back then, like that's really ages ago. There was this oil lamp. It's like from the Stone Age.
Wow.
It was pretty romantic as well, like your bubbles. And then, so because we had no electricity, it was me and my brother and my parents, and we lived there for 3 years. And so we had no electricity. So when the sun went down and it got dark, we didn't have much to do. We also didn't have television, of course, and no internet. So what to do when you're bored, right? You come up with creative ideas. And what we did is we took like 2 round mirrors, hand mirrors, and one my brother and one me. And it was like moonlight. And so we projected the moonlight onto the wall.
Wow.
And we played this kind of like a catch me if you can game. So I had to catch my brother's moonlight. And if I managed to catch it, then we turn it around, and then he had to catch mine. And
what a romantic game!
And then you can imagine like a candlelight next.
Oh my god, that is so romantic! Wow, I think this is so like so fascinating how these children come up with such a romantic and creative ideas, right?
Right. So wow. I think 8-year-olds or even like older or younger, they are pretty creative about things.
And very romantic. Very romantic. Wow.
True. Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. I feel like some of the viewers would kind of not relate with our situation because we're pretty young. So like most of them would have access of electricity for sure. But yeah, I think we had this unique environment.
Yeah, true.
But we love it. I mean, we became like a very strong creative woman today, so.
Yeah, exactly. I'm sure like all of us, no matter in which environment we grew up, we had some kind of difficulties. Like even if you have electricity and if you have a lot of toys, you still like face different other challenges. So I think it still applies to all situations. Just to try to reconnect with your old self, with your child self. Like amazing soap sucker story. So back then, like you realized that you like this creative type of work. You like to come up with new ideas and also to like act things out, like to act in a play. And so fast forward, you came back to Korea. Not actually, you didn't come back. You came to Korea and started your studies here, right?
Yes, I came to Korea after graduating from my high school and came to Korea to study visual design, as I mentioned earlier.
How did you come up with visual design? Why exactly visual? Like you were in a state like, okay, I'm a creative person, and then I guess you had several choices. And how did you come up with this idea?
I think for me, as I loved being creative. Starting from my really young age, I always knew I wanted to do something creative. But luckily, fortunately, my mom majored in fine art. So she kind of really saw my talent in that creative areas and also art areas as well. So she really like trained me in a very early age.
How did she do it?
So she would have like her students come in to practice drawing, and she would let me also join the class.
Oh, I see.
So from very young age, I would join like this bigger sister drawing like, apples, drawing fruits, or drawing any like doing like using different kind of mediums or like oil or pastel or like. So my mom really helped me to have my kind of art journey, and I kind of knew that I also want to really study art, and especially but I did not want to just do the drawing, but I just wanted to be creative, and that's when I kind of chose maybe this visual design, this graphic design was kind of a rising in Korea. I kind of really got interested and saw what they did, and I was really interested there using like this digital digital tools to create stuff. And design is actually, it's like problem solving. There's a problem, you solve it through design, and you kind of present it. So I was very interested in that area as well, and I just didn't want to use my creativity to just produce an artwork. And I think I value it. I think it's a sacred thing to create an art piece as well. But I knew that I was a person who wanted to be more relatable. That can
practical, maybe.
Practical. Yeah. So that's why I was like, thinking what kind of major I need to apply, and I thought visual design would be a perfect fit for me. So that's why I came to Korea. Did all the sushi, we say, like I don't know, did all the I prepared for the admission test. I went to academy for 8 hours a day. I would like practice drawing again and again, and I applied and took a test there, and got in.
Nice. And how did you like after you got into university? How did you feel about visual design?
I loved it because I think I really dreamed to. Can you ask me again?
Okay, so you started studying visual design in Korea. How did you like your studies?
It was like a dream, because it was like you study back in high school or middle school, you have to study all the subjects, right? That some subject you're not that interested of. But in college or university, you spend all your time studying the thing you love the most. So for me, it was like a dream. It was like a dream. Like I really love that. Like I'm learning from such a respectable professors, and always like I could also observing, seeing myself like grow as a designer. It was like really like fun to see. I couldn't do it last time, but I'm doing this time. I got kind of like a bad review last time, but I developed and made a better design this time. So like seeing my growth. Actually, I'm telling you, I'm telling you, like I think now they know that I'm a person who loves growth. So like seeing myself grow as a designer, professional designer, I think that was like so enjoyable. But yeah, Yeah.
So you thought, okay, I'm going to study, was it a 3-year study? 4 years?
4 years.
4 years. So you thought, okay, I will study 4 years and then I will become this visual designer or graphic designer.
Yeah.
So you had this like pretty clear picture about your future.
So yeah, funny thing is, when I first entered this college and university, I think I was kind of being naive, and I thought that I would figure everything out on my senior year and I would become this next design prospect, you know, appearing in different design magazines, saying that, oh, this rising star from, you know, from Mobile University, and showing my work. But because I thought, you know, I think I was being like kind of, oh, if you major design, you have to be a designer. But fast forward up and back, I mean, like during my senior year, I felt so lost because I had no idea what I wanted to do.
So how did that change? At the beginning, you were really convinced that you
Yeah.
wanted to become a visual designer. And then how did that change later, that you were not so sure and then you were lost?
So I think I thought that if I was a kind of a good student overall academically, and so I thought if I really concentrate well on my school studies, and, you know, do my assignment well and perform, get good grades in school, I thought that I would be able to figure out what I want to do. But during the senior year, you have to choose your topic for your senior show. And that's really important to any art or design major students. And also you have to choose what kind of, you know, you have to start applying for internship or start applying to a company that you're interested at. But I was like, oh man, I have no idea what I want to do. So I think I kind of forgot through the process that it's not like, it's important to get, you know, do well and be responsible on your school works, but it's one of the most important thing you have to do, especially during college year, is to figure out who you are. So I think I always like loved figuring who I was, and, you know, choosing my major. You know, I really loved that journey, and I was always putting that as a priority till high school. But I thought, okay, I chose my major, so I'll like naturally figure out later on also like my next job. But I did not really use that much time to figure out who I was and who I really want to be, and what kind of strengths I have that I can excel at, like that, or like what kind of job I need to have to really use all my potential, use all my strengths. So yeah. What were like
some conflicting thoughts of yours? Like on one hand, you wanted to do something that fits your talents and strengths. On the other hand, you wanted to do something fancy, or you wanted to earn money. Like what were like some thoughts that made you feel lost?
Yeah, I think the fact that like just thinking inside the box again, like, because I thought, oh, I did design, so I need to do graphic design.
Oh,
so the most common step, common job you can have after graduating as a visual, after graduating for design, you go to design studio, or you work for like big companies as a in-house designer. So I think I was like kind of fixated on that thought that, oh yeah, maybe because I did design, I need to do that. But I knew that I was a person who liked to take more initiative when it comes to design. So and also I did not like just designing. I knew that I wanted to use design as my tool, but I knew I wanted to have a different, bigger content. You know what I mean?
So you wanted to have like multiple, a more various job, not just like doing one thing, specializing on one thing, but kind of like
yes, exactly. And especially, I did not just want to be a designer who does design, and I was like really sure about that. So I think that's when so after that realization, I kind of thought that, okay, as after I had that realization, I think I thought now it's a perfect time to really reflect back on myself and to figure out who I am. So, like the topic of this video, I really kind of look back on my childhood, what kind of strengths I had, what kind of person I am, what kind of interest I had. Like I really kind of look back and try to have this relationship and to figure out, to know myself better. So I wrote this list and like writing who I was. So I'm just gonna.
How long did it take, like this whole process of writing down what you want? Like, was it like in one afternoon you sat down and you wrote down everything, or was it like a longer process?
I think it was like longer process. Like you write, I was writing it down, and I was like, I asked my dad or mom, or I was like thinking more of it in a much deeper level. It was a longer process, but in the end, I think I kind of managed to make like the list that really kind of explained and
basically described you as a person.
Yes, exactly. Describe who I was. So can I like kind of read my list?
So I told you, you feel free to read it. I thought like you sat down in an afternoon drinking a cup of tea, and then you had a napkin there, and then you jotted down some words, but you said you did it on your phone.
Yeah, I did it on my phone. Everything, I had access to smartphones, in my college, so yeah,
that's a big change.
Big change.
Soap soccer to like
having
smartphones.
Playing soap soccer to having like the smartphone. Yeah, it's true. Okay, so this is like the list that what I learned about myself. So the list have 11
bullet points.
Yes. So number 1, I value growth and to help others grow as well. And number 2, I love being creative. Number 3, I love creating something and presenting it to others. And number 4, I love having freedom to decide. Number 5, I love wearing many hats, which means like to be able to do a lot of tasks at once. And number 6, I love performing and sprucing up for the role.
We can see that.
Oh yeah. And number 7, I love organizing the information and making it simple. That's what I figured out during my college year, because we studied information design as well, and I really love gathering like many information and just making it simple and presenting to others. And number 8, I am comfortable in working with limited resources. So having like all the access of the world is not that challenging for me.
Yeah, you just need one bar of soap.
Yes, exactly. And that's like a fun game or mission for me. So that's more fun. And number 9, I love kids design because I like bright color.
You mean fashion, kids fashion?
No, kids design. Like anything, the design that is related with kids.
Okay, I see.
It's more
design
like bright color, and it works with a lot of patterns. So I knew that my preference when it comes to design, I loved making something bright and like with different patterns. So that's what I figured out about myself. And number 10 was I love to work what is innovative to the market, so that I'm working with like the most advanced technology and like system. 11, and I want to be able to design and decide what I want to make. So it was a long process, but taking all these features into consideration, I kind of came to a conclusion. I want to work in education IT field that works with younger kids, and but I wasn't sure what kind of role was there that I can be able to work, but I was sure about this industry. Yeah.
Plus a startup, I guess, because you wanted to like make decisions by yourself.
Yeah. yeah, also startup. I thought it was very important because like in this big companies, you become a you specialize in one certain specific area. I knew about that. But I'm a person who likes to do a lot of things, as I mentioned. So I realized that, I needed to work in startup and I needed to work in this industry. Yeah.
So how could you break that thought that you thought, okay, I graduated visual design, so I have to work in a design studio up until, okay, I want to figure out what I want to do and I want to go for it. How did this process go?
So once again, I thought, I knew that I need to make a decision that suits me. So I was really trying to be honest and true to myself. And so I thought I need to, because when you're working, you have to spend 8 or more hours in your day. So I knew that I need to enjoy this and value this work. But I think I knew that I value education more than designing.
Okay, I got
designing.
it. Yeah.
So I was like digging deeper, like what I value, what I want to do, what I want to present to the world, what I want to invest my time, energy to like change, what kind of aspect I want to bring out changes. Yeah.
So after you figured out, you wanted to work with education, with children, with startups, did you like specifically go and look for startup companies?
So funny thing is, so I was like, okay, I kind of figured out, okay, this is the industry I want to work, and this is like the form of company I want to work at. But I got this random call from my sister.
So when was it? So you graduated and like
no. I was in my senior year.
Still, okay.
And I kind of figured out, I want to have this blah blah blah. Sorry, I have to mention one more thing in the beginning. So and after that, I figured out this industry and I made another list, like what kind of feature I want from my company that I want to work at. So I was like writing this list again. So number 1, I thought that I said, I want my CEO to be a woman.
Why is that?
It's because I knew I wanted to be a CEO or do my own company. Start my own company later on. So I kind of really wanted to see what is a reality to work as a female boss, and how she works to run the company. So for me, because I'm a woman as well, I think for me it was important. I wanted to learn from a female boss and work under her, that I can like learn what is a reality, what is the pros and cons, and what kind of limitation she has. So yeah, that was like my first most important thing. Has to be a female boss. and the list went on. And as I mentioned, I got a random call from my sister, and she was calling me and like, Heeyun, how are you doing? Blah, blah, blah. And she was like, she also got this randomest call from like this randomest person she knew back in middle school. They were not in contact. So it was after like many, many years, and this guy called her, and he was saying, I'm working at this startup company. We're a company that produce content for kids. But are you interested in becoming like a presenter for like kids YouTube or kids video, like education video? My sister works in the NGO field. And she's really she's thriving in that area. So it was like a random offer.
So she's not really interested in kids?
Of course not. And she doesn't like to talk in front of people. So it was very interesting how he kind of came up with kind of recalled my sister. But my sister, when she was hearing this, she knew my process of me
creating
figuring
your list.
Yes, she knew my lists. So she was like, this is a randomest call, but the more he explained about this company, she was like, this is like a perfect fit for Heeyun. And then she kind of connected me to him. And then I kind of had a meeting with like the CEO of that company, and she was a woman.
And she had 3 kids, right?
And at the time 2 kids, but
2 kids,
then
okay.
when she was running a company, she had 3 kids.
Wow.
In the end, she was a superwoman. I still admire her and respect her till this day so much. And she's still now working as a EBS presenter. So EBS is like, for those who don't know, it's like education broadcasting channel in Korea, the most, I think, mainstream education broadcasting channel. And she worked there for over 17 years, and
wow.
her company was to produce the education videos, especially for kids. And there were separate department for adults, but I was more concentrated on kids section. And they were initially looking for a presenter. So I was like, I'm a designer, like I just don't want to be a presenter. But I had a meeting with her, and she was genuinely interested about my whole like portfolio and like my strengths I had. She really was open to what I can offer her. So I was telling her my vision and my strengths and what I want to do in this company, and she was like very open about that. And she was like, in the end, hired me as an in-house designer and a presenter as well. Yeah, and I started working there.
So you got your perfect job that matched all. Did it match all the points?
I forgot to mention the most important thing, and the list kind of like really. Like the reason, and when I was having this conversation with her, I was like, okay, this box check. I think she would not know. When I had a first meeting with her, I was like having my list. We were in the phone call. I was having my list on the side, and I was like, okay, this box check. This box check. Was like, check. And everything kind of like was perfect for me. Like this company, what their vision and how they want to work, and I was genuinely interested on what they're trying to create. So I was like, okay, I have to work here.
Nice.
Even though this company is not like famous, it doesn't have like that much reputation because it's a startup, it just started. But still, I was like really, I could see that I can learn so much from her and other team members. And also the thing they were trying to create was genuinely what I wanted to create as well. So yeah.
Wow. So what did you learn out of this story, starting from like going to university, studying visual design, and then finding this job that fits your list? What was your learning out of it?
I think the biggest lesson I learned is that you have to make decision only for yourself. And that's only possible with the right data. And the right data, you can figure out the right data by reflecting back on yourself and back on your childhood again. So I think I would not be able to make this decision to work at startup or this kind of company if I didn't know who I really was. But I can confidently say that job I had was like the perfect decision for me. I don't regret it at all. I just think I thank myself for making that decision. So I think that's like the lesson. Like, don't make decision for others or just thinking thinking inside the box. Oh, because I majored this, I need to do this because that's like the mainstream. But not that, but really just making decision for yourself by reflecting back. And that's only possible by knowing yourself well. Yeah. If that makes sense, I don't know.
Yeah, I think what I hear you say is just dare to wish, I guess.
Exactly.
Many times we limit ourselves, and just to know what we really want and have that courage to really wish for, because it can really happen.
True.
So I think we are limiting ourselves way too much.
True.
Yeah.
True. Like, I feel like sometimes we think, oh, that's not going to be possible for me, because for me, I don't know. To be honest, I think I wasn't pretty enough to be a presenter, because you see in this programs that you see really beautiful, this ideal, who has like this ideal beauty standards, who fits that standards. But for me, I didn't think that I had a lot of charm. I know I'm very charming. I have my own beauty, but I didn't think that my like looks, it's on that mainstream level. So I kind of never thought that I can be a presenter, or would any kids would like want to see my face. I don't know. but yeah, I think dare to wish. Like, if you really be true to yourself and not limit yourself, I think world is an adventure. World is like open more than you think.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
I kind of like, I had very similar experiences. It's funny how we relate to each
Really?
other,
Yeah.
because when I was around 11, it was maybe elementary school. I didn't have a phone yet, so I couldn't write lists.
Okay. Did you use like the paper?
I used the paper. I had an A4 paper, blank paper, and I drew a line from starting my life until 30, because I thought when I get 30, my life ends. You know, I was 11, so it was like a timeline. And then at each point, I kind of like wrote down what I wanted to become and what I wanted to do. And as I grew up in a small city, like they weren't big dreams, but back then for me, it seems like huge and it's impossible to reach. So for example, I wanted to meet my favorite singer, who was a Swiss guy. And so, but I didn't have money, so I was like, okay, it's no chance, and how can I meet him anyways? Or I wanted to play in a soccer team. And then of course there were bigger ones as well, like I wanted to become a businesswoman. So I drew this timeline of my life, and interestingly, before I got 30, I managed almost all of them.
Wow.
And so I think, I agree with you. Dare to wish.
Wow.
Yeah.
This is so interesting. Like, guys, write the lists, because it will do come true, right?
Yeah, I think it's not always the case. I think what's more important, I think there are people who are list people, and then there are people who are like spontaneous. So I don't think it's like one size fits all. And also, if you write your list, that doesn't mean it will come true. But I think what's more important than if this list actually comes true is knowing yourself, and also like try to learn from every situation. Okay, like this one I couldn't reach, but do I actually really want it? Or maybe I don't want it, or maybe that's not me. So just having like maybe a living list, like not a static one, but one that lives.
That is true. Yeah, and I think also once you write it down, you kind of have a clearer vision, like what you want. So once you have that kind of opportunity, you know that that's what you want, and you can have more confidence and courage to seize that opportunity. So I feel like it's always good to have a list. Yeah.
Wow, you have this amazing confidence about your vision and who you are. But I'm wondering, did you have times when you had some doubts if you're on the right track?
Yeah. So after starting working there at my first company, because it's a startup, we had a lot of trial and errors, and our team had many ups and downs. But definitely, we had a lot of success as well, and like our videos were being sold to like broadcasting channels, and you know, we did have our failures, but I think personally I was also growing very much as a planner and also producer, designer and presenter, and I knew that I was growing in a very professional, becoming more specialized in this area. But as you said, I don't think it was a doubt, but I knew that I need to move on to the next step. So I said my goodbyes to the first company, and also it was like really perfect timing, because our company was like kind of was trying to change their direction a little bit, like their business model. So that kind of was not my ideal way. So we said our goodbyes. I still like talk to my boss because I really respect her very much. So in the end, I became a team leader at my first company. So I had a lot of responsibility in creating education videos. So I had to also not only design it, but really use my brain to come up with and make that content to educate kids. But because I did art throughout my life and I majored in design, I knew that I lack early childhood education, that kind of, what do you say? Like, knowledge. Thank you. Knowledge. So, but I knew that I wanted to work in this industry in a very long term because I really was passionate about creating content and education videos for kids.
What was it this time when you went to the US and met your friend there?
Oh yeah, because she know my story, so she's like guiding me. Thank you. Yeah, so that's when after quitting the first job, I had a whole time for myself. I had a lot of time in my hands, so I went to the States to meet my friend. And
also Korean friend, I guess.
Yes, my Korean friend.
My Korean friend.
Yeah, she's Canadian, by the way.
Oh, Canadian.
Yeah, she's Canadian Korean though, but still, she's Korean. Yeah, so I went to see her senior show, and that time, again, my sister's friend entered the storyline.
A different friend or the same one?
Different friend. Wow, I mean, my sister really impacted my life in many ways, but I also met my sister's really good old best friend, and she was studying back in the States. She was studying education IT in the grad school. And while I was meeting her and having all this conversation, how's life, blah blah blah, what kind of experience I had in Korea, and she was like talking about her school and what kind of studies what she studies at her school. And I thought it was like a perfect fit for me to like that school also it was like a 1-year degree, but it gave 3 years visa.
Wow.
But I knew that in the state, the most biggest problem when you come to the state, it's visa. So, and I also knew that at certain point of my life, I wanted to go to the state and work there. So I thought maybe this is like a right timing for me to go to a state and study more about early childhood education. And
which school was it?
Harvard.
Oh, you wanted to go to the Harvard.
Yes.
Wow.
So I was like, and also the Harvard, that school, grad school, also worked very closely with Sesame Street. And I was also very interested in the work of Sesame Street.
Yeah, maybe for those who don't know what Sesame Street is.
Oh, do you know the Cookie Monster?
No.
You don't? Okay, where do I even start?
I know Elmo.
Elmo, yeah. So, I don't know. So I think you can describe it this way. Like Sesame Street is like the oldest kid content producing company back in the States. I think its head office it's located at New York. And I think it's like a first company that used like a puppet as a mainstream to make a children program. So, and also they do publishing, they do so much different programs for kids. And it's like, I was genuinely interested because like they work with kids and they do a lot of education program and they have a long history. So I knew that because I worked at startup company with a smaller team, now for my next step, I wanted to work in a bigger company that had a longer history and had a bigger team and working with a bigger project, so that because that's a totally different learning process. So I was interested because, you know, Harvard, Sesame Street, it had a very good reputation. It had a very big name to it. So I think I was more like very captivated because of that as well, just to be honest.
So you decided to apply for it, right?
Yes, and I came back to Korea and I started preparing for the grad school.
How did it look like? Like, what did you have to do? How long did this process take?
So I think it took about 8 months in total. And I had to I had to write an essay that's called SOP. It's just explaining who I was and what kind of, why I want to apply to that school and like what I want to study, what I want to achieve. It's like telling the college or the grad school who I am, why I want to go there. And also I had to prepare for the TOEFL test as well. And also I had to earn my earn money to be able to go and study there for a year because I'll not be able to work there. So I had to earn a certain amount of money to prepare for my tuition and my living cost. Yeah,
that sounds really tough. So I guess like your whole day was fully planned.
Yeah, so you know, in the beginning, because I did not work, I started a day with studying my TOEFL and prepare for my SOP, and also to earn the money, I did a lot of tuition. So, but interestingly, during that time, I got offered a new job to the company that I'm currently working at right now. Spoiler alert. But it was like a company, it was education IT company, and it was fastest growing education IT company in Korea, and they especially targeted to middle and high school. So it was not like totally relate with my, you know, target group, but still I was genuinely interested to learn because, you know, Korea is known to be an IT powerhouse. So before I go to the state, I really wanted to experience like what is a reality of like education IT in Korea. So, and also I had to earn my living anyways and do my savings. So I thought, okay, I can study and also work at the same time. It's gonna be tough, but I can manage it. So I started working there as an on-tech teacher. So basically, on-tech teacher is you are teaching a lot of kids, a lot of students online using the company's own system. So I used to work there, but working as a teacher, I kind of struggled because
I thought you were good with kids.
I love kids. Till now, I really love kids, but I think I love kids and I really love directly interacting with them. But I think being a teacher, I could really see that I cannot use my full potential with that job or occupation. So, but I knew that was temporary. It's not gonna last forever. So I was just trying to be patient. And I thought that through that experience, I can be a better planner, better producer, having that like a direct contact how students learn. So
it was like this long process of 8 months, you working and studying for your exam and also writing your essay, and at the end you managed to submit your documents.
Yes.
What was the result?
Yeah. I think my facial emotion reveals what was the result. So I got rejected.
Wow. How did you feel after so much work, putting so much
can I just briefly mention like how my schedule was back then so they can empathize?
Sure.
So basically, my work, because I was a teacher, it started at 2 p.m. and ended at 11 p.m. So before I started work, I woke up very early and studied my TOEFL, and then I went for work. And when it ended at 11 p.m., I came back home and went to 24-hour cafe and wrote my SOP.
SOP, which is the essay.
The essay.
Yeah.
So But I think because I knew I did my best, I gave my full 100%. I wasn't, when the result came out, I wasn't regretful about anything because I gave my full self. I did my best. So, and I don't know, I was like, I thought this would be a perfect next step for me. But when I got rejected, I was like kind of lost. Like, what should I do now? But interestingly, in the back of my head, I was kind of, I don't know, comforted because I knew somehow I would end up in the perfect place that would suit me, that would suit me, and that I would be satisfied of. And when one door closes, other door open. So I thought, okay, let's see how my life turns out.
And did another door open?
Yes.
Of course.
Yes, of course, guys. Always. It's always like, I think it's like a life, always life mechanism. So then right next day, I got offered I got offered to transfer department. So I was working as an on-tech teacher, which I cannot fully like use all my working backgrounds and my major. But this new department was literally like a new department for our company as well. So as I mentioned, our company was targeting middle and high school students, and this department was trying to target elementary school students.
Which is your
my target group. I mean, I don't want to say target group, but whom I want to teach and create content for. So
that department was basically created for you.
Yes, exactly. And they hired me. So a little backstory, and was before I heard the news, I was actually auditioning for a presenter. So my team leader back in that company, knew I'm a jolly and fun, bright girl, and she knew that I can speak English kind of fluently, so she recommended me as one of the presenter in that new department to be a presenter or a teacher for one of their education program. So I met the head of director there, and he was auditioning me for the program. Oh, and this was the exact outfit I wore when I was auditioning for that presenter. And I was like, blah, 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 blah. And he was like, but he read my resume, and he knew that I had kind of the working experience of a producer before I came to that company. So after auditioning, he kind of sat me down and he was asking me this question about how do you foresee the education he was asking this question that you would ask for the producer. Then he was asking me what do you think is the most important thing when you make a content? I was answering all these questions because I knew all the answers. So he knew my working background. So he was actually planning to interview me, not also as a presenter, but also as a planner. But only he knew that. So I was answering this question, and he kind of liked all my answer and knew that I really had a lot of working experience for this. And he kind of interviewed again, looking at my portfolio. And he really liked that I was very hands-on and knew how to create content from soup to nut. So, and he really he said that he really liked how I communicate with all the editors and designers while producing that content. So that's why he later offered me, then right next day, he offered me to shift department. And it was not common at the time in my company. There were no people. There were really less people, a handful of people who shift department from on-tech teacher to other department. So it was a very unique offer. But I shift department, I transferred department, and when I started working there, it was exactly what I did in my previous job.
Oh, so you could check the list again?
Yeah, so my like direct boss, my supervisor was not a female this time, but he had a lot of backgrounds in creating education content for Korean students. So once again, I thought this was a perfect opportunity for me to learn better.
Do you think it was better this way, or do you still like feel a bit of regret not going to Harvard?
So I think the more I work in that department, I really can see why it was a perfect, like, it's better for me to stay here instead of going to Harvard. It's because like every month because our education IT industry is growing really fast in Korea. So every month is different. So because our department is a very new department, so every month we're growing so much. So I think this is something that you cannot learn from textbook. And as a producer, because I want to do this in long term, I really love this industry. I love what I do. So I really want to be more better. I want to like, I think I'm gonna like, this is like, I don't know, what do you say, like my dream job. So I knew I'm learning so much, and I know that this would be a really like strong foundation to be a really good producer, professional producer. Yeah, going back to Harvard and studying about early childhood education would help me, and I think that would lead to me a different journey. But I think for me now, like I'm experiencing and learning so much what's like I think I'm like so grateful about. So yeah.
Wow, that's a really nice
story. I'm really content, really grateful that I did not go to this Harvard. Yeah, and I'm not spending money. I'm earning money. I'm just kidding. But still, I'm just saying that I'm really grateful. Yeah. But like I feel like later on I can always, if I really want to study in a specific area, I can always go to the States or any other grad school. But but I need to mention this. But now I see that Harvard grad school, where I was trying to apply, they more concentrate not on producing section, but on like, what do you say, like the brain. The information.
Brain science? Okay.
Yeah, they're trying to teach and produce this producer who can concentrate on more like this intellectual area. But for me, I know that intellectual section is very important for me as well, but I'm a more like hands-on person. I have that. If you say this, there's the intellectual section and there's this designing section. I'm more on this area. So I would have not be able to be a person when I was writing this SOP, this essay, I kind of knew that this Harvard, what they're teaching was not a perfect fit for me, and I had to do the engineering producing studies on the side if I have to study there. So, but in this department, I'm doing exactly what I want to do, and I'm learning so much every week, every day, because there's so much project going on. So yeah,
that reminds me also of my story.
Oh, really?
So I came to Korea, and I also thought I wanted to do a startup, and I was always this person who was creative and like wanted to start something new. But then I thought I should study. And also because of the visa, it's not so easy to get a visa in Korea. So I thought doing an MBA would be the right thing. And then there's this scholarship, Global Korean Scholarship, which gives you 1 year language study and 2-3 years of, the MBA would have been a 1.5 years program. And they would like finance it. So I was like, wow, that's great. I'd love to do it. And so I started applying. The only issue was that I only had 1 month until the deadline. So my diploma was from Romania. And then I had to get some recommendations from former professors of mine. And I haven't been in touch with them for after graduating. So I was like trying to find them on the internet. What's their email address, Facebook? So I had to have 2 recommendations. And I found the professors. I wrote them. I asked them to give me a recommendation letter. They wrote it. They mailed me. And so everything came by priority post. On last minute, I really went to Suwon, which is a little bit outside of Seoul, and handed in my papers in person, like just few hours before the deadline. And so I made all that effort to apply. And then they realized that I was missing 1 document. So everything was kind of like in vain.
Wow, no way.
But the interesting thing is that I felt relieved because I didn't really want to study. I was like, wow, this is a great opportunity, and I would get visa and I would get knowledge. But what I wanted to do actually was I wanted to work. I wanted to create something new. And now I'm here doing this podcast and I'm so happy. I think I don't regret it at all. But I also don't regret the whole process because I learned a lot through that process as well, that you really can go for something and don't give up even if the deadline is so short. But on the other hand, I just didn't really want it. So I don't think we have to regret what we have done, or like we don't have to be disappointed if we are rejected. Just try to reflect back and see. And maybe again, like reconnect to your 8-year-old self. I think, sometimes we are just like, sometimes we are distracted by like money or fame. And I think what you said, like this 8-year-old self is this like innocent and creative person. So reconnecting to that inner child and asking yourself, what would I do if I were 8? I think that helps a lot.
I know. I think exactly. I relate with you so much. It's because like I don't regret that I applied to Harvard because I learned so much throughout that journey. And one of the things, as you mentioned, is I learned about myself a lot. And once again, I think I made a decision out of other people's opinions or acknowledgments. Like I thought that, once I go to Harvard, once I work at Sesame Street, I will get all this acknowledgement and praise by other people. But that was not who I was and what I needed at that moment. But once again, I think after that result, after the result, I realized that I kind of I kind of forgot to be true to myself again. And again, as you mentioned, I remember that who I was, and again, reflecting back on childhood really helped a lot. I shared my list, so I'm this person. So for me, I don't need to choose the safest or well-known choices. Like, I don't know, what do you say, like well-known choices? Like
maybe the popular ones?
Yes, exactly. Popular choices. But I just need to make a choice for myself that my 8-year-old self will also be satisfied of.
Wow.
So
I think with that we can conclude today's podcast. Big thank you for coming and sharing your stories. Really impressive, and good luck on your future journey.
Please wish me luck. Thank you for having me. And I think this journey podcast, by talking about my life here, it really helped me immensely to really reflect back on my life as well. And I think this would be a great platform for people who also who value their life and who wants to really live well. So I am really looking forward how this journey podcast will end up and what kind of journey this podcast will have. So I'm really, as a fan, I'm gonna be supporting you.
Oh,
all
thank
the
you so
time.
much.
So yeah, thank you for having me and thank you for hearing my story.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.